What if your mother's love could protect you even after she was gone? What if that love was a light strong enough to guide you through the darkest woods and burn your enemies to ash? Come, sit by the hearth and let the tale begin.
Dad, what's scarier? A monster in the woods or people who are just mean?
That's a deep question, my dear. Monsters are simple in their own way, but meanness, that often comes from envy, and envy is a darkness all its own. Tonight's story is about a girl who had to face both. It's an old Slavic folktale called Vasilisa the Beautiful. A long time ago, there lived a merchant and his wife. They had only one child, a girl named Vasilisa. But a sickness came to the house, and the mother, knowing her time was short, called Vasilisa to her bedside. With the last of her strength, she pressed a little doll into her child's hands.
"My child,"
she whispered,
"take this doll as my one true blessing. Always keep it with you, hidden from the world. If anything bad happens to you, give the doll a little food, a little drink, and ask her for guidance."
Shortly afterwards, the mother's breath faded, and Vasilisa was left alone with the doll. The merchant, lost in his own grief, soon became lonely and decided to marry again. He married a widow he thought would be a good mother, but the woman and her two daughters were possessed by a bitter, envious spite for Vasilisa's gentle beauty. They worked her like a servant, not a daughter. They sent her to scrub the flagstones until her knuckles were raw, and haul heavy buckets from the icy river until her shoulders screamed. All day she was forced to toil, the stepmother hoping the biting wind would chap her skin and the hot sun would burn it, twisting her beauty into something as coarse and ugly as their own hearts. But their cruelty failed. Vasilisa seemed to draw beauty from some inner light. For each night, in the privacy of her cold attic room, she would lay out a few crumbs of her meager supper.
"Eat, my little doll,"
she would whisper, and ask for its advice. The doll's wooden eyes would seem to soften. It would eat, and then it would help her, tidying her room or even showing her which herbs to find to soothe her sunburnt skin.
So the doll was alive?
It was her mother's blessing, her intuition given form. As long as Vasilisa fed the doll, as long as she trusted that inner voice, it would help her. As the years passed, Vasilisa's beauty blossomed, and her stepmother's hatred festered into a black, twisted thing. So, while Vasilisa's father was away on business, the stepmother made a cruel decision. She sold their home and moved the family to a small, rotting hovel pressed against the edge of a vast, lightless birch forest. This was not just any forest. It was a place of dark legend, for in its deepest shadows lived the terrifying witch, Baba Yaga, a creature of bone and iron, a witch who ate people like others ate chicken. Every day, the stepmother sent Vasilisa into the forest on false errands, but the girl always returned safe and sound, guided by her magic doll. Then, one night, the stepmother put her plan into action. With that cruel smile, she crept through the house and snuffed out every candle, every lamp, one by one, plunging the home into a thick, suffocating blackness. As the last wick died, she cried out, "What a disaster! We have no fire. It is impossible to finish our work. Somebody must go to Baba Yaga and ask for a light." "I'm not going," said the first stepdaughter, who was stitching lace. "I can see my needle just fine." "And I'm not going," said the second stepdaughter, who was knitting. "I can see my needle too."
They put out all the lights on purpose? That's horrible.
It was. They were so blinded by their own envy that they forced Vasilisa to walk into the real darkness just to find a simple flame. With shoves and curses, she was thrown out into the dark, forbidding forest. The door slammed shut, the bolt scraping across. Vasilisa stood alone, the darkness of the woods a living thing before her. Trembling, she fumbled in her pocket for the doll and a crumb of bread.
What do I do?
She wept. The doll's voice, clear in her mind, answered,
Don't be afraid, Vasilisa. You need a light. Go to Baba Yaga and ask her for one.
All that night, Vasilisa walked, her feet sinking into the damp earth, the doll in her pocket her only guide. Just as her spirit was about to break, she heard it. Galloping hooves. A horseman burst from the trees. His face was bright, his clothes were white, and his horse was white as new-fallen snow. He thundered past her, and as he vanished, the sky in the east turned a pale, hopeful gray. The first light of dawn had come. She walked on, and as the day grew, another horseman appeared. His face was a burning red, his clothes were red, and he rode a horse the color of fire. He galloped past, and as he did, the sun itself crested the horizon, flooding the forest with light. She walked all day until at last she came to a clearing. And there it stood, a hut, squatting on giant, gnarled chicken legs, caked in mud and feathers. It was surrounded by a fence made of yellowed human bones. Atop each post was a human skull, its empty eyes staring. The gate was not a gate at all, but a jawbone lined with sharp, jagged teeth for a lock. Vasilisa was frozen by a fear so cold it stopped her breath. Suddenly, a third horseman galloped by. His face and clothes were black as soot, and he rode a horse of pure shadow. He rode straight through the tooth gate and disappeared. As he passed, night fell, not slowly, but instantly, like a blanket thrown over the world. And in that instant, the eyes of the skulls on the fence began to glow, washing the clearing in a cold, dead, spectral light. Vasilisa trembled, wanting to run, but her legs were roots. Almost immediately, she heard a hideous noise. A thump, thump, thump that shook the very earth. The trees groaned as Baba Yaga, a creature of nightmare, burst into the clearing. She was a terrifying old woman, riding in a giant mortar, pushing herself along with a pestle, and sweeping her tracks with a broom. She thudded to a stop, her long iron nose sniffing the air.
I smell a human!
She shrieked.
Who is here?
Vasilisa stepped forward, trembling.
I am. Vasilisa, my stepmother sent me to ask you for a light.
Oh, I know of her,
Baba Yaga replied, her voice a low growl.
Stay with me for a while. You will work. If you work well, I will give you light. If you do not, I will cook you and eat you.
Baba Yaga commanded the teeth gate to open and rode in. Vasilisa followed. Inside, the hut was larger than it seemed and filled with a rank smell. Baba Yaga ordered Vasilisa to bring her what was on the stove. There was a feast, enough food to feed 10 men. The witch ate and drank for hours, swallowing meat and mead with loud, greedy noises until every platter was clean and every jug was empty. she left Vasilisa nothing but a single dry crust of bread.
Tomorrow,
Baba Yaga said, wiping her mouth,
you must clean the yard, sweep the hut, cook supper, and wash the linen. Then you will go to the corn bin. In it is a mountain of grain hopelessly mixed. You will sort it seed by seed, separating the good corn from the mildewed, and you will find and remove every single black bit of rot. The task must be perfect, or you will be my meal.
Soon a sound like thunder filled the hut as Baba Yaga began to snore. In the terrifying quiet that followed, Vasilisa took her doll out. She presented the crust of bread, her only food.
Please, eat and help me,
she whispered.
She has given me an impossible task, and if I fail, she will eat me.
The doll's eyes seemed to shine in the dark. It nibbled the bread, and its voice entered her mind.
Don't be afraid, Vasilisa. Eat what is left of the bread and go to bed. Mornings are wiser than evenings.
Vasilisa awoke before dawn, but Baba Yaga was already up. Vasilisa rushed to the corn bin, her heart pounding, and found the doll sitting atop a perfectly sorted pile of good grain, picking out the very last black bit. All the other tasks were finished too. All Vasilisa had to do was prepare the supper. That evening, Baba Yaga returned.
Have you done what I told you?
She asked.
Yes,
replied the girl. Baba Yaga was furious, but she hid her anger and cried loudly,
My faithful servants, grind the wheat!
From nowhere, 3 pairs of ghostly, disembodied hands appeared in the air. They gathered the wheat and vanished. The witch snarled and gave Vasilisa another set of impossible tasks, this time adding a new one: to sort a bin of tiny poppy seeds from a pile of dark dirt. And again, the doll helped, and Vasilisa finished everything.
What were those hands?
She didn't know. They just appeared, did their work, and vanished. Baba Yaga was a creature of ancient mystery. That night, Baba Yaga sat down to eat, but she stared at Vasilisa with her sharp, suspicious eyes.
Why do you sit there so quiet and still? She asked. Not even a mouse squeaks in my hut without permission.
I'm afraid to speak,
said Vasilisa, her voice steady.
Would you mind if I asked you some questions?
A slow, cruel smile spread across Baba Yaga's face.
Ask if you want, she said, but remember, not every question has a good answer.
Vasilisa asked,
On my way here, I saw a white horseman. Who was he?
That was my bright day, answered Baba Yaga.
Then I saw a red horseman. Who was he?
That was my red sun.
And the black horseman? Who was he?
That was my black midnight, said Baba Yaga. They are my faithful servants. Have you any further questions?
Good call. Don't ask about the magic hands.
Exactly. Vasilisa thought of the ghostly hands, but she knew that was a question she must not ask. She remained quiet.
Now,
Baba Yaga hissed, leaning forward,
I have a question for you. How have you managed to do all the work?
Vasilisa looked the witch in the eye.
My mother's blessing helped me.
Baba Yaga shrieked, a sound so terrible that it shook the hut.
A blessing! I knew it! Be gone from my house, girl! I will not have the blessed in my home!
She shoved Vasilisa out of the hut and into the clearing. Then she snatched one of the glowing skulls from the fence, stuck it on a stick, and shoved it into the girl's hands. The fire in its eyes burned, but did not touch her.
Here's the light for your stepmother, she cackled. You came all this way for it. That's what you wanted, isn't it?
Vasilisa ran home through the forest, guided by the skull's light, which felt like a new, cold sun. As she approached her gate, she thought,
My errand is done.
and was about to throw the skull away, but a low, muffled voice came from it.
You must keep me, your stepmother and her daughters. They have need of me.
So she carried the skull into the dark house. As she entered, the stepmother and her daughters rushed out, their faces full of false relief. But then the skull fixed its eyes on the three of them. The women shrieked as the light from its sockets turned into two beams of pure, unholy fire. It burned them. It followed them as they tried to hide, the beams of light piercing them, never letting them go. They screamed and screamed until they were silent. By morning, nothing was left of the three women, except three small black heaps of ash on the floor. Vasilisa, unharmed by the skull's light, took it out and buried it deep in the garden, hiding its terrible power. She locked the door of that dark house and never returned. She went to the nearest town, where she found shelter with a kind old woman. One day, her hands, now free, longed to create.
Grandmother,
She said,
I am bored of sitting idle. Please buy me the finest flax you can find.
With it, Vasilisa's fingers began to spin. She spun thread so beautiful and impossibly fine, it looked like strands of captured hair. Then she began to weave. She wove a cloth so exquisite, so brilliant white and impossibly soft, it seemed to be made of moonlight. She gave it to the old woman.
Sell this, grandmother, and keep the money as thanks for your kindness.
The old woman looked at it and said,
My child, this is too fine to sell. I will take it to the Tsar.
The Tsar was amazed by the cloth and gave the old woman many presents. He wanted shirts made from it, but none of his tailors dared to work on cloth so fine. In the end, he called the old woman and said,
If you knew how to weave it, you must know how to sew it.
No, your majesty.
She replied.
It was made by a girl I took in by the name of Vasilisa.
Perhaps she will know how to sew it then. Bring her to me at once.
Vasilisa was quickly brought to the palace. When he saw her, he was captivated not just by her beauty, but by her quiet strength and magical skill. She made him the shirts, and he fell in love with her. Eventually, they married. When Vasilisa's father returned from his journey, she invited both him and the old woman to live at the palace with them. And the little doll? Vasilisa carried it in her pocket until the day she died. And so, the girl who had been cast into the darkness had learned to trust the small, quiet voice within, a wisdom that earned her the light, destroyed her shadows, and wove her a new life as a Tsarina.
So the light she brought back, it wasn't for them at all. It was for her. It burned away her old, dark life.
That's right. The stepmother and her daughters were so full of darkness and envy that they couldn't stand the light of truth. Vasilisa faced the monsters in the woods, and by doing so, she earned the light she needed to defeat the monsters in her own home. She learned that the most powerful magic is trusting that little voice, that blessing inside you. What do you think? What did the skull really represent? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed our tale, tend our little hearth by giving this video a like and subscribing for more tales from around the world. Until next time, I am, as ever, your humble storyteller. May your nights be warm, your dreams filled with wonder, and your heart ever open to the magic of a good story.